My name is Kimberly Tommy. I am the CEO of the Paleontological Scientific Trust, or PAST. I am a biological anthropologist and a member of the Codemakers Board. I'm also one of the super scientists. What Codemakers does that is so important within a South African context especially is it allows children to see themselves reflected in science. And it does this by showcasing scientists from various backgrounds. So I am a biological anthropologist, and that's quite a broad field of study. But essentially what it means is that we are people who are interested in what it means to be human physically. So some biological anthropologists would look at it from a medical perspective, and that would include working with human remains or with bones or cadavers. And some anthropologists look at the human condition maybe from a cognitive standpoint. So what makes us human in the way we think, or what makes us human in the way we have culture. So it's quite a broad field, but I'm interested specifically in anatomically what makes us human. Essentially what I look at is why it is we chose to walk on two legs, or our distant ancestors made this decision, and what it means for our health today. So one of the ways I explore what it means to be human is by looking into the past. So looking at what our bodies look like from an evolutionary perspective. And our bodies have gone through many changes from what we see in the fossil record here in South Africa in the cradle of humankind. And one of the major shifts that we see is actually within our jaws, right? So many of us have had to go for a wisdom teeth removal. Why would our bodies have more teeth than we have space in our mouths? That's one of the questions that we look at from an evolutionary perspective. And what scientists have learned is that over time, as our diets changed, so too did our bones. And our mouths and jaws became a lot smaller, but we kept the number of teeth. And that's why we have to have our wisdom teeth removed. Anthropology, and specifically biological anthropology, is a very diverse and interdisciplinary field. There's no way you can understand what it means to be human without looking at it from different perspectives. And so we work with teams that are composed of many different researchers from different fields. For example, if we're interested in understanding how our bodies have evolved and how that has an effect on health today, we work with people like clinicians, physiotherapists, if we want to try and understand why certain parts of our body are more prone to injury or disease. We also have to understand what it means to be human within the context of our environments. So we'll work closely with environmental scientists who can maybe tell us about the landscapes that we were on and why our bodies have changed to adapt to certain things. So I grew up on the West Rand of Johannesburg in a suburb called Discovery. And what's interesting is that the West Rand of Johannesburg is home to the cradle of humankind. But I never knew about the cradle of humankind growing up. I was fascinated with Egypt, but I had no idea that we actually had fossils, that we had archaeological sites here, and that the cradle was actually home to a vast majority of our early human ancestors. So when I had come to university, I think I had a complete culture shock. I went from being a top performing student in high school to suddenly failing my first year at WITS. And I thought about leaving. And thank goodness my mother was not taking any of that. And she had said, well, when you fail, you get up, you try again. And that's exactly what I did. Something that I realized during my studies was that it's okay to lose interest in something, or it's okay to find an interest in something else. And that's what happened with me. I fell in love with biology through studying it. So I'm quite passionate about representation of women. The field of paleontology especially is predominantly male. For science to progress, we need to start creating spaces where people feel comfortable bringing their whole selves to work, right? Because science is the pursuit of knowledge and it's curiosity, and everyone gets to be curious. It doesn't matter where you're from or what you look like or what sex or gender, or none of that needs to matter when we are in the pursuit of curiosity. In fact, we need to embrace that. because the more diverse the perspectives are, the better science is.